Hi, happy Monday, everybody. Sorry to be a few minutes late. I was having some technical difficulties, but really excited to be here with you today. These weeks just fly by. I feel like we just were here talking about the different stories that we tell ourselves about the CPA exam, all of these things that get in our way of being as effective as we possibly can during study sessions and, of course, on exam day. And today's no different. So, of course, this is a Mindset Monday, part of our ongoing series. And today we're going to be looking at these topics that you hate. Now, everybody has them. I have never worked with a CPA candidate or spoken to a CPA candidate who doesn't at least have some resistance or some negative feelings towards particular topics on the CPA exam. And you might have maybe even more broad scope negative feelings about the exam. So maybe it's one particular exam like BEC or FAR or whichever one. So, what we're going to talk through today is, first of all, how normal that is to have that experience where there's a topic or a particular exam that you just avoid, struggle with, dislike, cringe as soon as you hear it. Maybe these topics are those things that maybe they give you a flashback to college, to that one professor that you really disliked or, didn't have a good rapport with. And they also maybe those topics that you feel like are just best suited to put you straight to sleep. We all have these topics. If you're just getting started with the exam and you haven't encountered this yet, you are likely to encounter it. So, still valuable information for you to have so that you're equipped with the tools to navigate through this if and when you come across whatever this topic is for you. So, again, I've never met a CPA candidate who didn't have at least one of these topics, these things that are just cringeworthy, that you love to procrastinate on or put off and really are not looking forward to on the exam. So, what we're going to cover today is, first of all, we're going to explore in a bit deeper how this mindset, this relationship to this particular topic, is actually making you hate these topics even more and making it even harder to study them than it already was. We're also going to help through this process, through our conversation today, eliminate the suffering that you're experiencing while you're studying these topics. So a lot of times I hear candidates say, well, okay, I've got to tackle bonds today. And it's first of all, we're using sort of negative language about it from the very beginning. I have to tackle it. I have to conquer it. And I'm guilty of that too. But we're also suffering through it. So I want to be able to change that experience for you, not have it be something that you suffer through or have to just survive, but rather something that is a positive experience for you. I'm also going to help walk you through an exercise to explore how to reinvent your relationship with these topics that you hate, avoid, or struggle with. And then finally, I want to help you see how this new relationship with this topic is actually going to help you be more effective and be more successful on exam day. So simply by changing your relationship to this topic, we can improve your overall experience, have you not suffer through it. That will make your studying easier, more effective, and actually get you physically in a better place to learn and retain this information, which of course is going to help you on the exam. So no surprise, being that this is a Mindset Monday topic, it's all going to be about your mindset and your relationship to these topics. It's not going to be about me magically eliminating this topic from the curriculum or anything like that. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to avoid these topics, these content areas forever, but we can change your experience of them. So let's dive in. As we're going through this today, I want you to be thinking about a particular topic that you avoid, that you cringe about, that maybe something that puts you to sleep, something that's really been a struggle area for you. Now, let's talk about what hating this topic actually does for us. So first of all, we get the benefit of getting to suffer through it. We get probably some sympathy from our colleagues, family, friends about all the hard work we're putting in and how torturous this is for us. We also get to complain about it, which for some of us is just a habit, something that makes us feel a little bit better. Again, we can't get rid of it, but we are going to face these topics in a brand new way that's going to change your experience of it. So, again, hating or dreading these topics makes it that much harder to study, makes it infinitely harder to focus on. And this idea that we hate this topic, or that we've never been good at this, or this is so boring, those ideas, they're like little seeds planted in the back of your mind. And as you're studying, they actually serve as a distraction. And before you know it, your focus is less on whatever you're reading or watching in a lecture and more on how much you hate this, how boring it is, maybe all the other things you wish you were doing, any of the other things going on in your life. Maybe your mind is just wandering to places far, far away from here. So immediately that has already caused an impact. You're not focused as much on this material. So of course, your scores will naturally be lower. You have not been focused in, doing the actual studying, sort of the heavy lifting part of this. And we're just reinforcing in the long run, reinforcing this idea that you're not good at this, or this is a struggle area for you. So I like to think of the exam as having sort of three categories where we have positive topics, things that you're excited about, things that you feel really good about. Maybe it's something that's in your wheelhouse, something you do every day during your job, so you feel very comfortable with it. Then we have neutral topics, things that you don't necessarily hate or avoid, but you also don't have a ton of experience, you don't feel great about it. So it's just sort of a whatever topic, right? You don't have a ton of feelings going into it. And then we have these topics that have more of a negative experience associated with them, or a negative relationship. So I want you to think about, when you're studying, what is the difference, and also the difference in your relationship to it, between either a neutral or a positive topic and this negative topic. I want you to think about what's different when you walk up. Just imagine walking up to your desk. You're about to sit down. You've got your books, you've got your computer, all of your highlighters, you've got everything set up for you. And you're going in to do a topic that you're excited about. How are you showing up? Are you open, eager, interested, focused, connected? And then imagine walking up to your desk. It's still all set up. You've got everything in front of you, but today what's on your schedule is to tackle this topic that you don't like, this topic that you hate. How are you showing up? Are you shut down? Are you closed off? Are you not open? Are you not as connected? Are you distracted? Are you frustrated? How are you showing up to that study session from the very beginning? This is before you've even hit play on that lecture, before you've even cracked open the book. I imagine that there's a difference in how you are approaching just simply walking into this study session. So that's a good place to start, because how we're showing up to the study session is a great indicator of how it's going to go. Imagine if you show up open, you're likely to be able to actually absorb and receive that information, whereas if you show up closed off, good luck for any of that information to get in, right? So we want to start by identifying your current relationship with these topics. So that includes how you're showing up. It also includes the stories that you have about this topic. So you might say, well, I'm not good at this. I'm just not good at bonds. I'm not good at leases. I've always struggled with this. I was never good at econ. Even in school, I've never understood it. This topic is so boring. I'll never use this in my day-to-day. Maybe you even go to frustration about, why is this even a topic on the exam? This doesn't apply anymore. This is so silly. That's how I always felt about in accounting information systems. And I'm sure this has all changed, but knowing how to flow chart processes, I thought, when are we going to use this? We're always going to write out the process. I don't want to know the different symbol, what the different symbols mean. I'm never going to use it. And that was always a topic that I struggled with personally. So you've got to identify what your current relationship is to this particular topic. And then I'm going to invite you to go one step further. I want you to name the emotion. So it's not just about, I'm not good at this, I always struggle. That's part of it. That's the surface level. But one level further is naming the emotion associated with it. Is it discomfort, boredom, worry, nerves? Maybe that anger or frustration about why is this topic even on this exam? Maybe even anxiety. Behind all of these emotions is typically fear. So maybe you're afraid that this topic is going to be the one thing that causes you to fail this exam. Maybe it's not that you just don't like the topic or, have a negative relationship to it, but maybe it's really about that this is something you struggle with and you're not comfortable with struggling with things. Most of us don't like that. Most of us going into the CPA exam have never struggled with a whole lot. School often came easy. Studying often was not something that we struggled with or maybe even ever had to do. Maybe you never have even had to study. And so this is all new. Maybe that's causing you some anxiety in itself, right? Being faced for the first time with something that you're not as strong in naturally. But the thing is, with each of these mindsets, I'm not good at this. I always struggle. This is infinitely boring, right? I will never use this. There's no possibility in that mindset. And we've talked about this in previous Mindset Monday, so I'd invite you to go back and check them out. I can link to the exact one, but we talk about the fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And from this fixed mindset about this, you're likely to never have a positive experience with this topic if you're thinking, I'm not good at this, period. I'm not good at it right now. You could flip that and see, actually, there's a big opportunity here for me then, right? This is my biggest growth area. I always struggle with this. And in other words, I'm always going to struggle with this. If that's your mindset, then yes, you will. If you go into something thinking this is going to be terrible, it probably will be terrible. That we were focused on expands, right? So the more we focus on how bad this is going to be or how bad you are at it, the more likely that is to come true by keeping that mindset as it is. So once we've identified what that actual emotion is, then we can go forward from there. We can address that particular emotion. We can also see, is that true, right? Are some of these stories that I have about this topic true? That I'm not good at it? And maybe it's not the best, maybe the worst excuse that I hear from candidates is this one. So again, this may or may not resonate with you, but a lot of times I hear from candidates that one of their basically complaints is that they're so far removed from school. In other words, they haven't just graduated and jumped right into the CPA exam. They've worked for a while, maybe even 10 or 15 years or more, and now are back to studying for the exam. And so they'll say, I'm so far removed from school that's making this really hard. In other words, I can't remember what worked for me, what didn't work for me. I don't remember how to study. Basically, everything has changed since I've been in school. And then in their next breath, they'll say, but I was terrible at econ, and so I'm still going to really struggle with econ. And it's like, well, wait a second. 2 seconds ago, you were saying that everything is different now because you're so far removed from school. But then this one thing is going to stay the same, that you struggle with econ. I use that example a lot because I struggled with econ. It was never my favorite topic. But my point is, we can't have it both ways. We can't have it where for one, in one instance, being so far removed from school is something that, has changed everything for you. And then on the other hand, that these are exactly the same. What I'd invite you to consider is that if you're far removed from school, you actually have, first of all, you're completely a different person now, right? After those years of life experiences, years of work experience, and all of it. You've got new understandings, new learning, new examples to rely on. all of these things can completely change your experience of a topic. Just from living life, things may click for you now that didn't make any sense or didn't have any relevance for you when you were in school. So if you find yourself using that example in particular, we'll talk about having a new mindset or a new approach to that shortly. So some of the approaches we use, again, when we're not enjoying a topic, right? Or if we have sort of a preconceived notion about a topic, some people will try to just push through it, right? Suffer through or even rush through it. Let me just get through this, put this behind me. Sometimes we'll avoid it altogether. You might procrastinate on this, push it off to the side, and then, no surprise, before the exam, you've run out of time and just didn't have a chance to take a look at that topic in great detail. Sometimes we use the tactic of being resigned. So, well, it's just not my strong area. I'm just going to have to take it, basically take it on the chin, have a low score in that area. I'll have to make up for it in other areas. Or one of my personal favorites, I'm just going to hope and pray that it does not show up on the exam. None of these are very effective, right? They're not going to, first of all, change your experience of it. This is not changing your mindset from where you currently are, where you're currently stuck with this topic. And they're going to have you, suffer through this process, maybe not even look at it. So we've lost the opportunity to get any better in this area. Now, there actually is some science that I wanted to share with you behind this topic. So for those of you who are not science nerds, myself included, I'll give you a little bit of background and promise we won't go too much in detail on this. But I'm sure you've heard of norepinephrine and dopamine, two different chemicals that operate in the brain. So norepinephrine, I'll just read for you what I found, brief description of it. So it's thought to play a role in the body's stress response, helps to regulate your sleep, your alertness, your blood pressure. And then dopamine plays a key role in movement and affects motivation, your perception of reality, and the ability to experience pleasure. So these two chemicals work together. And think about the story of the three little bears, right? There was too little, too much, and just enough. Their porridge was too hot, too cold, or just right. Do you remember that? I'm taking it way, way back here. So same with these chemicals in the brain. If we have, when we're basically operating at our peak effectiveness, when we feel in balance, the dopamine and the norepinephrine in our brain are balanced. And that's when you're going to experience things like being clear on your goals, understanding others' thinking, clear decision making, really able to conquer abstract topics. Think that would be important during a study session, especially for a topic that you're not comfortable with? Absolutely. But we're not always at that just right level. Sometimes if there's too little or too much, we actually experience foggy thinking, poor memory, poor decision making, things being very black and white, like I'm not good at this, period. I don't understand this, period. And that's not a great place to learn from. And so what we know is that if you have too little stress or too little stimulation, that's going to cause too little norepinephrine and dopamine in your brain. And on the flip side is true too. Too high of stress, too much stimulation is going to cause too much of these chemicals. So we want it to be just like the baby bear, right? Just right. So what does this mean and how do you apply this? Well, we've got to be connected to what is important for you. We've got to find that balance, that just right. So if you're noticing that you're coming into this experience or walking into this topic feeling a lot of stress about it, right? If you're worried that this is going to be the thing that makes you fail, if you're concerned that you've never been good at this and never will be, and kind of follow that path down, then this is going to be the thing that makes me fail, or this is going to be terrible. You're probably in that high stress environment. You also may be coming into it through the lens of this is so boring. I hate this topic. You might be in that camp of too little stimulation. This might not be exciting enough for you. And then same thing, low chemicals, low norepinephrine, low dopamine, and that's going to cause you to have this foggy thinking, poor memory, black and white. So we need to get somewhere in the middle. What that looks like is, first of all, reconnecting to why this is important to you. Why did you take on the CPA exam in the first place? So even we just sort of remove yourself from the idea of just this topic on its own, and instead look at the bigger picture. What's in it for you to pass the CPA exam? And if you haven't taken on that journaling exercise of really connecting to and envisioning what this will be like and how your life will be different once you've passed this exam, I invite you to do that and have that as something that you can reference back to really anytime, even daily. So why you're doing this, what's in it for you, what's your big why in taking on this exam? And then specific to this topic, I want you to think about what it will be like for you when you master it. Again, we're moving out of that fixed mindset of I will never be good at it to when I have had this topic click, what will that be like? How will you feel? Will you be proud of yourself? What difference will that make for you? What difference would that make on your study experience? What difference will that make for you on the exam itself? Going in confident that you no longer have this huge gap in your knowledge or in your skills base. And then what's another way to look at this? Really reframing, re-examining your relationship, reinventing your relationship. So look for ways that you can make this topic fun. If you're already going into it or normally going into it thinking this is going to be terrible, this is, I'm really going to suffer, try to find ways to make this fun. More importantly, we need to find ways to make it relevant. So think about one of the pieces of advice that I often give to my clients is to think about if this doesn't really relate to your life in particular, think about a place, something that is relevant to you where this does make a difference. So let's take cost accounting, for example. I hear that one a lot. I don't have any clients that manufacture things, so I don't care so much about cost accounting. I'm never going to use this. Well, your clients may not use cost accounting, but the company that built your cell phone uses cost accounting in building and producing that machine. Or there may be some cost accounting involved even with the coffee shop that you frequent every morning on your way to work. So think about a company, a brand, something that you can associate with and try to figure out how this topic applies to them and how they might be using it. So that's one way to make this more relevant, more fun, more interesting for you and to have you be more connected to it. Again, that's going to bring back those dopamine and norepinephrine chemicals into balance. And when we're in that balance, we have access to a higher level of functioning, right? Making and retrieving memories is one of the things that is more possible when we're in balance, which is exactly what we're trying to do here. Not necessarily fun, life experience memories, but we are trying to create those memories so that you can recall this content when it shows up on your exam. So we've identified your current relationship to these topics, right? We have to move out of that fixed mindset, out of that that idea that you will always struggle with this or always be terrible, and flip it to where you have more possibility around these topics, where instead of it being closed off, there's actually an opportunity here for you to gain more insight, gain more awareness, earn more points as it relates to this topic. And doing that and just showing up differently to your study sessions, in having shifted your mindset from this fixed and uncomfortable or unpleasant mindset to one that is a growth mindset full of possibility, that's immediately going to change your experience. in studying. It's going to put your brain in a better position to learn and absorb the material and help you to retain this information long term. So, as I always say, it is all about mindset. You can go in and you can study as hard as you want, but until you shift that mindset, you're never going to be as effective as you want to be in studying these topics or any topic. So I invite you to reflect on some of these questions that I've thrown out to you today. Message me with any questions that you have, and make sure to like this Facebook page. If you liked this video, like and engage with this post so that when we go live next week, it will show up on your feed and you can get all of the latest and greatest information, especially from our Mindset Monday series. In addition, there is a YouTube channel. I'll post the link in the comments, but I share a lot of other tips and examples and stories from clients on my YouTube channel. So I'd invite you to also follow us there for additional information. Mark your calendars for next Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time for our next Mindset Monday series. It's going to be a great one and you won't want to miss it. See you then. What's going on, everybody? If you liked that video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos just like that. We'll be sharing lots of tips and tricks designed to help you crush it on exam day.